So, hair transplants, how do they work? Now, we have to look at hair transplants in this case. I'm sure many of you are familiar with them, but let's do a quick review on what they are and how they work. Now, you have the follicular unit extraction, or FUE, and the follicular unit transplantation, or FUT, which represents two of the most advanced techniques in hair transplant surgeries. Now, each method has its own unique approach and implications, making the potential integration of verteporfin in these procedures particularly significant. In the FUE procedure, it involves the individual extraction of hair follicles from the donor area, which is usually in the back of the head. Now, this area is chosen due to its resistance to DHT, or dihydrotestosterone miniaturization. The technique uses a micro-punch tool to remove each follicular unit containing 1 to 4 hairs, one at a time. This method results in tiny dot-like scars scattered across the donor area. Now, these scars are less noticeable than that of the FUT, the follicular unit transplantation method, and the overall procedure is considered less invasive, with a quicker recovery time. FUE is particularly suitable for patients who prefer short haircuts where the minimal scarring is an advantage, and for those looking to avoid a more noticeable linear scar, like with FUT. Now, FUT, on the other hand, is a bit more invasive because it involves removing a strip of the scalp from the donor area. You're actually cutting into the scalp and you're removing like a meaty portion of it, and over there the hair follicles are then dissected and removed from this strip and then transplanted into the balding areas. Now, this method leaves a linear scar where this strip was removed, and the scar can be hidden under longer hair, but it represents a significant limitation for those who prefer shorter hairstyles. The healing process is generally longer in FUT compared to FUE. Not only that, but you have to stitch or suture up the wound, which can be very uncomfortable for patients. Now, why would somebody pick an FUT over an FUE? Now, FUT is often chosen for patients who need a large number of grafts in a single session and are comfortable with longer hairstyles that can conceal the scar. Also, there are, I guess you can say, minor economic benefits with an FUT over an FUE. Because you're getting more hair follicles quicker with an FUT, it's actually cheaper to do an FUT over an FUE, but in my experience and research from what I've seen, the prices don't differ that much, but if you do want to save a bit of money, you can go with an FUT, but however, it's not going to be that aesthetically appealing. However, if we're going with the idea of verteporfin being used to heal wounds, then maybe doing an FUT and applying verteporfin could give you even more benefit due to the amount of scar that's left in the place that the strip was taken out, and potentially verteporfin could bring more hair follicles back into those areas.